Hi, thanks everybody for joining today. In today's AI training session, we're going to cover how to create artwork, logos for your business. So again, just like all these trainings, like we're back to priming and prompting. Pardon the background noise. I'm in Bloomington, Indiana for a summit for founders and funders today, um, hence the beautiful backdrop behind me. But we'll dive in. We'll go through using ChatGPT, also the Adobe suite of products on how to use artificial intelligence, namely priming and prompting, to create that artwork or logo work that you're looking for. So without further ado, let me share my screen. And here we are with our ChatGPT. So just like other platforms, what we want to do, we want to prime and we want to prompt the system to generate a better result, a better work product for ourselves. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a little bit of information about a fictitious company, we'll say, auctioneer, and just recently rebranded. I am looking for a There you go. I am an auctioneer. I recently rebranded my company. I'm looking for a company logo to help promote my brand as an established and knowledgeable player in the industry. Priming, telling it about myself. There we go. It's set up for my partner here, Captain Cap. So here we go. We're gonna get some information back. Okay, so here we go. Quick questions to guide our logo. It's even telling us what to do here, right? So we'll go through the list here. More priming there. So talking through what we want, our name, the look, even the font. So it's very, very particular. It's very helpful to guide us to water here. It's a nice advanced technology. So it looks like it's coming up with a logo now, which after this, we're going to prompt. So we're going to take what we've already fed the information and we're going to give it prompts about the visual response it's given us. While we do that, I'm going to hop over to uh, the Adobe suite as well, because I think checking out the Adobe suite is certainly something that, is worthwhile. It does cost a bit more money, but it's certainly more powerful than the GPT model that comes out. So there we go. Kind of nifty, kind of nifty. But from here, what we're going to do is we're going to prompt it to do a little bit more uh, visual work. So as that's happening, what we'll do is we'll jump into Excel and we'll do something very similar, or into Illustrator rather. So here in Illustrator, it says generate vectors. So the same kind of process, you know, create a logo. Now we're just jumping right into a prompt. So we didn't prime this system. This system, can you prime it? Yes. It's not as intuitive. It's more of a wrap on what you're seeing here. So it looks like it did that, but it did not do what we asked. It squeezed down the tagline a little more. So what we're going to do is revise. Ooh, well, they're real excited over here at Adobe. So there's the image that it populated. We'll shrink it down, show what that one looks like in comparison. Now, the beauty of this system is that it's going to generate multiple images each time you ask it to do something. So there's one, there's two, there's three. It didn't really put the word auction consultant in there. So we might go back in and just add the text ourselves. But it's a great tool to help us dive through this. So create a logo for a company called Auction Consultants. We will take out a little bit of that prompting and revise what it says. So create a logo for a company with a cowboy hat, gavel, and bar chart. Now we're going to change the text that it has in it. See what that does. Jump back to GPT. Here we go. Revise the text of this logo for a more balanced revise the text of this logo for a more balanced layout. We'll let that one think and we'll jump back over here. So now we're getting crazy. It's not so much auction as it is marketing collateral, but that's my bad. I didn't tell it well enough. We're thinking through it. We're thinking through it over here at GPT. So it took us right back to what it looks like our original design. A little bit better, but it balanced it out a little more. So here we go. Now the Adobe system is kind of wonky when it comes to the text. So much like some of the free versions of GPT online, it doesn't do well with the text. Now, good news is it's a vector file within Illustrator, so typing that text in is pretty straightforward, especially if you know how to use the system. If you don't, it's not all that difficult, but it is a little bit more challenging. But you can see here it's a lot more colorful, and we didn't prime it enough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to generate a little bit more information. A little more. Again, AI is only as good as what you put in. So taking the time to do this, really playing around with it, would take longer than we're going to do today. But imagine paying a graphic designer to come up with 10 different versions of a logo for you. It's just cost prohibitive. So this gives you the opportunity to play around with the system, get a good idea of what you want, refine it, refine it, refine it. And again, there's two ways we can do this. One, we can play around with GPT over and over, so what I'll keep prompting here is trying to get it just right to what I want. So here we are. We'll play with both, regenerate both files, get further and further and further along, and then I'll pivot here in just a few minutes over to marketing image creation, because we may all have our logo, love our logo. It may be something that we've spent so much money on branding we don't want to change. But if you want to have a uniform look for social media posts, for marketing emails and outreach, for signage, things of that nature, we can certainly, take a dive into that as well, because like I said, you may be in love with your logo. We love our logo, so change it, and until the powers that be say change your logo, you may never want to change it. And if you're the powers that be, then you don't need to change it. So here we are, we're getting, I kind of like the bar chart in the hat. That's interesting. Like that. So what I'm going to do in this case is we're going to go ahead and let's do, that's allowing me, I can change this manually because it is a vector and I am in uh, Illustrator. I'm going to go ahead and take out the text. So we're getting closer, we're getting closer. So there we are. So we're getting, it looks like it's running around in circles. So in this case, what we might say is, remove all text. Here in Illustrator again, we've gone through and it's starting to put some information together. You can play around with this as much as you want, or you may land on something that you really like. You can save it, and then you can use it for any printing materials since it is a vector image here. I'm going to jump back to GPT. As that's processing, we're going to move over to Photoshop for some of the marketing style images. So the same format occurs in Illustrator as it does in Photoshop here. So here under Generate Image, what we're going to do is we're going to think through, what is it that we want. So create an image of an auctioneer with a cowboy hat on, riding a mechanical horse through a warehouse. So there it is. There's our logo without the text. In this case, we may just use the logo, download it, save it. What we're going to do is we're going to, save this as a vectorized PDF. So what that means, and my nerd translation here is vectorized just creates an outline of the image in a format where it can be scaled large or small, like in any size, and it won't pixelate, right? It's very important that you arrive at a vectorized image. If you've ever tried to blow up a logo that, your employee might have sent you, it's going to send you, the pixelated image, like a JPEG or a GIF or a web file. When you blow it up, it's not made for that expansion. So it starts to pixelate, get really bad, look horrible if you wanted to put it on a billboard, for example. So that's what we're shooting for here. So it's to get us to the end. There we go. There's our logo. So we'll just download that now. Over the course of a few minutes, we've created a logo that we're happy with. We just needed to add the text to that. So now you could just start over with just text. Create me a text only logo that says auction consultants in this case. We achieve recovery, higher recovery faster as your tagline. And then you can play around with it and poke it and play with it, as long as you want. But in essence, that's how you do it, from, going through the prime to the prompt to the export with a vectorized PDF. That should get you to the result of creating yourself, a custom logo in very short order for $20 a month. You can do all this work over the course of a month, or you can pay $20 a month. Find a graphic designer for $20 an hour, and I'll send you a $20 bill, right? It's very hard to find someone with the skill set in that field that's going to charge you less than $50 an hour, I would assume. And it's going to take them hours to create the logo. You're looking at around $1,000 on a low end for a custom logo. In this case, you give yourself, a half hour or an afternoon, really dedicate to creating exactly what you want, because you know what you want. The designer guy over here might just come back with 12 things that you hate. And now you got to pay them for 12 more things that you also could hate. So getting yourself close to what you want, and then maybe you bring in somebody that tightens up and finally polishes it off for you. And that is, taking the designer's work down from, 24 hours down to 1. So now you're paying that $50 bill as opposed to the thousands of dollars you may pay to create a custom piece and take the time to do that for, weeks. So back to our Photoshop version here. This is something that is cool to be able to come up with the same kind of images in your system. So they're riding horses. Those aren't necessary. Maybe mechanical's the wrong word. So we're going to say a robot horse through a warehouse. Give that another run for its money. So this is very much a major time saver for putting together a consistent and professional look to some of your marketing campaigns. There's our robot horse. Well, this one is the only male thus far and on a non-robot looking horse. So if let's say you want a male auctioneer, well, we have to tell it that. Make it realistic. Funny to say when we're talking about creating images of robot horses using artificial intelligence and robots to generate something for us, but we'll see what it does when we tell it to be more realistic. You know, the scary thing about this is it can be used, you know, in a bad way. You know, having responsible AI is certainly something that we are aware of. Adobe's obviously ahead of the pack on that. So it's not always going to be the best result the first go around. But you can see here, it's pretty cool to be able to come up with these things for yourself just in a matter of seconds. You know, so give yourself some time to go through this, play around with it, whether it's in GPT or it's in your Adobe program here. So we'll do the same thing over in GPT. And it really comes down to preference. You know, on one hand, you know, GPT Pro is going to cost you around $20 a month. I think you could most likely sign up for the Adobe Creative Suite for somewhere around that for a trial, but it starts to get expensive if you keep it on. So just keep that in mind with the preference that you choose. Do whatever is best for your budget. Um, I would say that the Adobe Suite's much more powerful in creating um, you know, options faster. It's just built to create those images, whereas GPT is not as visual as the Adobe Suite version, but the Adobe Suite version, as you can see here, is definitely something that we like to play around with, and it will save all the images for you too as you go. So it's gonna have us get rid of a couple as we go. I don't like this one here, kind of strange look to them. This one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. So we'll just run more with that same prompt because we're getting pretty close. Here's the GPT version. Looks like it might be, could very well be a winner. Now he doesn't appear to be riding a robot horse, but we'll see here. Certainly looks realistic. And in future training, we'll go through how to create an avatar, right? So an avatar of yourself. It's going to sound like you. It's going to look like you. It's probably going to scare you a little bit. But where can we use these avatars? You know, that's the question. Can we have it, you know, be our chatbot on our website to answer questions? Oh, he is riding a robot horse, a tiny little robot horse. So there you go. So far, you know, it looks like GPT's winning. You know, these are pretty cool. As you can see now, it looks pretty realistic. You zoom out on it a little bit, and all of a sudden, that looks like a real person. Not so much, kind of a goofy looking horse there. There we go. This guy's got on some weird glasses. He looks like Max Hedstrom from the old Pepsi commercials. Um, but pretty cool stuff there. So you can use these files, you can save them, promote them in any way. There's no copyright on these. They are generated custom for your prompting. No two will ever be exactly the same. So it gives you a good option to come up with unique custom imagery, whether you're using GPT or you're using the Adobe Suite service to come up with these images. Now, as I said, you know, we'll advance the ball further with more training, but as you think through, you know, how to use these design expediters, really is what they are. It can really help to get what's in your head out faster. So if you do work with a design agency, it'll at least get you closer to the finish line. It'll save you 90% of the expense of hiring that designer. It just expedites what we're doing. Again, using the priming, using the prompting, it certainly is the tools that I'm going to say over and over, and you're going to hear priming and prompting for the rest of your life. You know, it's a revolution. The AI revolution is almost exactly like what we saw with the Industrial Revolution. If you're not prepping for it, I highly encourage you to after watching this video. I think you've taken a good step thinking through priming and prompting and how can it affect, you know, anything you want AI to generate. It's that. The better you get at it, the better you get at, you know, doing searches on Google, the faster and easier it is for you to find things. You've gotten good at Google. This is just the next logical step in human technology. So here we go with a new software and a new system that can help you really save time, save money, go faster, do things a lot better than you ever could have in the past, and arrive at results that are astoundingly better than you know you know it might be if you drew it out on a piece of paper. If you tried to make this in Photoshop before this AI prompting, this image right here would take hours for a professional graphic designer to even arrive to anything close to as good as this. Now AI can do it for you. You've expedited all that time down to just a fraction of seconds really to create these images. So if you use it, you couple it with good priming, good prompting, you know what you want, you know how to say it, you put good product in, you give it the time and effort that it deserves, it's going to save you an extraordinary amount of time and effort. So putting the time and effort in on the front end is what AI is all about. The more you nurture it like a child, the better outcome you're going to see. So you would think of, raising a child the same way. Good care, good nurturing. You want to really educate them to be better. In that regard, you do that with AI, you get better results. So thank you for watching today. I appreciate your time and attention. We'll post these all online. If you have any questions or concerns about any of the AI training, please reach out at listernaut.com. Thanks for watching.